Up next, Tina Murphy.
Hi, I'm Tina Murphy. I'm going to read an excerpt from a short story that I have coming out in Twin City Speculations, an anthology of sci-fi and fantasy, with the East St. Paul Writers Group. Crete. Planet Mound, the Lost Lands. Quick as a clerk, Agent Sue Hansen pulled out her bee weapon and shot the Crete vermin between its shiny black eyes as it hurtled teeth bared towards her soft underbelly. The deadly bee energy stream crackled as it went through the Crete's head and body, blowing the creature into a fine red mist. All that remained of the menace were a few singed tufts of bright red fur that slowly floated into the dark ravine below. Staying alert, Sue kept the bee weapon out and activated. She felt beaten and raw, hoping the dead Crete had been a straggler and not a scout for a band of furry friends. The full-grown Crete must have stopped her from the last attack, where 50 or more had swarmed her and her fellow agents. The group had encountered nothing but trouble since they left their transree on a barely passable road into the Lost Lands. After trekking most of the day into the heart of the desert, they were set upon by waves of ravening Crete. So many times she thought she would not make it, but she had. She sported a multitude of deep exoskeleton punctures that she patched with her service-issued armor grow, but they were still sore. At least she still lived, unlike the other agents and millions of Griff after the Crete invasion. The Griff of Mound had beat back the Crete, but at great cost to their species. With desperation and fear of extinction, her kind bound their own pods under siege by hosts of the creatures, along with millions of Griff inside. After several Mound orbits, the extreme measures seemed to have worked. With a planet-wide effort, Griff had effectively caged the Crete where they had originated, in the wardens of the Lost Lands. The Griff of Mound will survive these knackers, Sue thought with determination, and I'll have the pleasure of giving the last Crete a final kick in the teeth. This thought made her mouth twist in an ugly smile, and her sharp mandible pincers clacked menacingly in anticipation. The mission? Find the Crete stronghold here in the Lost Lands, and destroy it before they could generate another throng and overrun the planet. Sue ducked her head down for a moment to get away from the harsh, hot desert winds with its never-ending gritty spit dust. Flying dirt fragments made a constant tapping on her hard abdominal shell, where the backpack didn't cover it, reminding her of rain patter on a pod dome. Quickly contracting her multifaceted eyes in and out several times, she cleared away most of the annoying microgranules. Looking back up, Sue carefully checked her position on her implanted optic Zik map. The permanent multi-use Zik implants were standard for all agents. Sure, having the technology embedded directly into her brain, an optic network, had unnerved her at first, but now she found it indispensable. With one thought, she could direct the map's glowing grid to overlay her surroundings day or night. Sue peered down into the dense shadows, blue grid activated. The glowing net instantly dimmed and a balloon with depth and temperature readings popped up. Shallow indent, 2 paces deep, and slightly cooler than the surrounding dirt. She shifted her gaze to each possible Crete hiding place, searching. To carry on, she needed to gather as much sensory data as possible. Tilting her head slightly, she opened her auditory cavities for the scraping of small claws and waved her antenna in the dust-filled air to sample for the acrid scent of Crete. A sound of chittering hit her auditory cavities moments before the stench registered on the surface of her antenna, as Crete sprang at her from the dimness. Numerous red furballs hurtled directly at Sue from a sheltered crack. There were so many, and they were too close for her to use her bee weapon. Staying low to the ground, she desperately protected her underside. She flung out her left set of arms in a well-executed defensive chop. A row of sharp forearm barbs punctured a few furry missiles with a loud squelch. Their small pinion bodies weighed both her appendages down. Dropping lower, she rotated on all 4 legs and flung them aside. The sharp motion dislodged their impaled bodies, and she felt them slide off with a suction-releasing pop. Several groups of Creek circled her. Some attempted to come in on her undefended side. Many snapped loudly at her lower limbs, and she barely avoided their nasty bites. Continuing to fend off more with rapid, well-placed kicks and punches, she fell back on hours of training in self-defense practice. She fought in a blur, hard and dirty, until nothing stirred in the torn-up dirt or dust-filled air. Catching her breath, Sue wiped filth and blood from her limbs, glad none of it had been hers this time. Thank the stars it had been a small pack, she thought, as she counted the 36 bloody lumps littering the ground. Then Sue heard a scratching to her right and zeroed in on a pile of furry bodies. A lone Creek struggled from beneath its dead companions, its round, transparent pink ears poked up through blood-blackened fur. A small nose wiggled atop large white front teeth as it sniffed the air. Its beady black eyes and pointed face followed by 4 short legs ending in a padded 5-toe paw. How could she have ever thought them cute? Well, no longer. The Creek made a sharp, chittering call, clacking its dentition and sending a shiver up Sue's outer carapace. The ghastly resonance lodged like a rock in her thorax, nearly choking her. Sue reflected. This horrid creature's chitter had been the last sound countless of her kind heard before they died, her antennae going rigid with anger and disgust. Die, you nagging pest! Palming her V-weapon, she blasted it and walked away, not bothering to watch it twitch in its death throes.